the greatest individual rivalry in basketball, you and Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that NCAA tournament, still was the most watched NCAA finals game in NCAA history. How much did you know about Larry Bird prior to that game?
The first time I saw Larry Bird was actually in a magazine. Saw his stats, blown away by his stats. But let's see if he can really do it against us. And that's always a mindset of black players if he's a great white player.
The summer before, they had the WIT tournament.
Okay.
And they brought all the best college players together.
Okay.
To play against the world.
Okay.
And man, I see this guy, you know, blonde hair, you know. I said, all right, let me see if he can play.
Okay.
Man, I'm sitting there watching him shoot, Shannon. He must have made 30 in a row, all net.
I think our first game was in Kentucky. We got about a 10, 12-point lead. Man, they put us in. Went to 25, 30, just that fast.
Fast break again, 3-on-2. Griffith, one. That's steal by Larry Bird.
So he was Steph Curry before Steph Wade.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there saying, this dude can play.
Okay.
We came down a couple times. I go behind my back, no look to him. He no look back to me. And I'm laying it up. I'm saying, oh, man.
Here's that last play. Magic Johnson going in, drops off to Bird. Bird puts it back off, inside to Johnson. Super basket.
This guy got game.
You know, brothers, we always say, okay, can the white dude really play?
Correct.
You know?
Right.
So then I said, oh, man, he a bad boy.
Right.
Then we got in the game. Jack Gibbons was player of the year that year.
Right.
He tore him up, man.
From Kentucky, Jack Gibbons from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Because they won the national championship in 78.
Right. That same time.
Yeah, okay.
Man, Larry Bird was taking it to him. I said, oh, man. I'm calling back home saying, oh, he for real. He for real. This dude, Larry Bird?
Right.
Oh, he got it. He can play. He's dominating Jack Gibbons. And they said, no way. I said, oh, yeah, he's dominating. So here we go, 6-7 months later.
Right.
We're playing in the NCAA championship game.
It is Indiana State against Michigan State. I'm Bryant Double, and the fans here are going bananas.
I mean, let's face it, if Larry Bird were black and came from Chicago, it wouldn't have been as big a deal. They were polar opposites. One black, one white, one outgoing, one shy. That was the charm of the attraction.
I think Magic wanted to be friends with Larry Bird. He wanted to be friends with him on the World Invitational Tournament, and Larry just wasn't very receptive. I think he wanted to be friends with him during the Final Four. Larry wouldn't even go over and shake his hand. So now Magic's saying, well, what's with this guy? Everybody loves me. How come you don't love me? And then they get to their rookie year, the first time they play each other, well, they have a very hard foul. And they have to be separated a little bit. And Magic's like, all right, well, the heck with this guy. You don't like me? Fine. All right, good. I don't like you either.
You know, he's a very competitive player, and I'm a very competitive player. And we go head to head, and we go for blood almost.
The vibe was nasty. It was ugly. It was we didn't like each other.
The PR person from the Lakers says, hey, Irvin, the Rookie of the Year voting has come out. And Magic says, okay, well, who won? He said, well, Larry Bird won. And Magic says, well, was it close? And he said, oh, no. He went out that day, yes, to try to win the NBA championship, but also to prove it to one Larry Bird. You know what? I should have been Rookie of the Year.
Even though I won the championship, I still wanted to win the Rookie of the Year, too.
He won that championship. I was pissed. I want him one. I'd get up in the mornings and see what he did because their games came on late. Then you look at the box score. I had to have him there for some reason. It's like a crutch. Somebody I can compare myself to.
Larry and Magic could control the game with 12 shots. It was amazing. They'd be 7 for 12. They'd have 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 12 assists. And you go, man, the guy shot the ball 12 times, was the best player on the court by far.
I think it was tough at first. I don't think either one of them wanted to recognize that they had any equal anywhere in what they did. But they sure as hell didn't want to recognize that their equal happened to be that other guy.
That's why we hated each other, too, because we knew we were mirrors of each other.
In 1979, this idea of Magic and Bird was created. And so that was sort of a no-brainer. We'd have a doubleheader. It would be the Celtics playing first, and the Lakers playing second, and that's the way we did it.
Then you go to Los Angeles, you go to Boston relatively in the same time frame, and your careers in the NBA take off, and the rivalry is cemented or begun anew. And then there's somebody says, we're going to sell shoes. We got a Larry Bird shoe and we got a Magic Johnson shoe. Let's get these guys together and we'll shoot a thing. And you did want to do it, didn't want to do it?
Well, I wanted to do it because we won the championship that year and we beat Magic. So
yeah,
I was up for
feeling pretty good. All right.
Good.
Yep.
Final second. Cooper going for three. It's over. The Boston Celtics are the NBA World Champions. 7-game series with the Los Angeles Lakers.
And then Magic, how did you?
I did not want to go to Indiana. They won the championship. I'm going to his home too, and I protested. I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I said, "You're crazy. I'm not shooting no commercial with Larry." So I said, "Okay, what? We're gonna shoot it in L.A.?"
I would never went to L.A. to film it.
Well, where are we gonna shoot it?
You want to shoot a commercial? Come to my house.
I was like, "Oh no!" I don't know how he's gonna react. I don't know how I'm gonna react. We didn't even shake hands. So how are we gonna do a commercial together?
If you can get him here, we'll do it in my backyard on literally your home court, and that's what happened. Now, and he shows up. What was you when you saw him? Were you leery? Were you worried about he's coming into my house, into my yard?
You know, my mom was pretty good about it. She was all excited. My brothers were excited. They loved Magic. The town was excited about having him come in our hometown, and come from a small town, it's pretty big news.
French Lick,
and they must be from the town over. But he came in and we shot this commercial, had my mom fix lunch, and it was neat. It was pretty neat.
But that, according to the documentary, that was the beginning of a friendship. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate. We really didn't say too much once I arrived. We actually had never really interacted with each other. So we got to the basketball court. We shot the first half of the commercial. Then it was lunch break. And so I'm going to my trailer thinking I'm gonna eat alone and he's gonna go. He said, "No, my mother has prepared lunch for us up at the house." So I was like, uh-oh. All right. But I said, okay, cool. So we rode up. His house is beautiful, great acres and everything. I mean, green grass. It was unbelievable.
We went up to the house and we sit down there and we talked. And my mom, my brothers thought the world of him.
So we go up to the house and his mom just greeted me at the door. They were with a big hug. And that sort of just calmed me down. I said, wow, I'm getting a mom bird hug like my mother would hug me, His mother was so nice, making sure I had enough to eat. I just saw my mother. It was crazy. Then she told me I was like her favorite player, and I said, okay.
It gets worse and worse.
So now I'm really sitting in the seat now. I'm waiting for lunch now because I feel good.
He charmed her. I mean, you can see it, but that's Magic. He makes everybody feel welcome and warm, and he's a con man.
But at the end of the day, what happened was we found out we were much alike. Midwest boys, grew up poor, hardworking families. Had the same values, and I got to know Larry the man, and he got to know Irvin the man.
He met Irvin at lunch.
Irvin is a good dude. I like Irvin a lot better than Magic.
I was just so happy to finally be Irvin with him because Magic was like, I don't know if I want to get to know this guy. But Irvin got a chance to talk about family, how he grew up. We just became two relaxed guys, just talking.
That day was great. It was a great day. Beautiful day.
One of my pet peeves always is when people say, oh, Michael Jordan saved the NBA. Bullshit. Bullshit. Magic and Larry saved the NBA. That's who saved the NBA. Magic and Larry.
And those two guys, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, saved the NBA. Really saved the NBA from really going under, because at that particular point, it was only maybe 4 teams that were making money.
Yeah.
Out of at that time, I think they might have been 22 or 24 teams in the league. And these two guys came along and they just kind of saved the NBA.
I think Bird and Magic saved the league, and I think the league took off when the Detroit Pistons showed up on the scene. I think Bird and Magic, what the NBA was coming out of in the 70s, how the United States was for black men in the 70s, and then Bird and Magic being on the stage in the early 80s, coming out of college and then, playing that game again. Magic coming to LA, Bird going to Boston. They walked into culture. They walked into a foundation. They walked into a way of being. They walked into winning. They didn't have to, get a piece of paper and go to school and get educated.
Right.
They walked into it.
I don't know if two guys have ever arrived on the scene at the same time in any sport, anywhere that you can think of, who were so much the same. One of them with the Lakers.
Straight down the middle. Still going.
And one of them with the Celtics.
Bird on the drive. Look at that pass. Oh, what a show. Play. Oh, what a show.
I mean, that was perfect. That's central casting.
I don't think you ever get anywhere in life unless you develop an adversary. And you want to have an adversary, an opponent that's going to motivate you, that's going to bring out the best in you.
They played not just to focus the spotlight on them, but to raise the level of the game. I think they both understood that, valued it, and pursued it their entire careers, and they could not have gotten it to the level that each did without the other.
We grew up with Bird and Magic. We saw them play in college, and the other had to go through the other to win the ultimate prize. They're a lot closer. Skip, they didn't hype regular season matchups between Bird and Magic. Now, they did play twice a year. Once on the, once in LA, obviously once in Boston. They didn't hype it.
No.
It was only the finals, and that was the only time that they really met. That was the only time. But the thing that was so incredible about this, they always had comparable teams. It was never like, oh man, the Lakers about to run away with this thing. There was always Bird, McHale, Parrish. You always had Magic, Kareem, Worthy. Then you had DJ, you had Michael Cooper. So, Skip, the teams were really, really comparable. That's why there was like a lot of the games with 6 or 7 games, and it was so highly contested. And the thing was, Skip, is that at that time in the 80s, they were really thought of as the two best players.
It was just like you got Magic was like the black player who was great, and you had Bird was the white player who was great. And so it was just like a battle of, who was the better, the styles. Bird was slow, could shoot the jumper. Magic was fast, can pass. And it was just like, this guy Bird, him being a white player, because we always felt like, this is a black sport, and so you're seeing a guy like Bird coming in and dominate. And it was just like, whoa, this is something that could last a long time. It started with them two in college. That's so I think that's what really made it even more of a rivalry, since it started in college. Bird was the player of the year, but Magic won it. Then Magic gets his first title in the NBA.
There it is, it's over, and the most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Now they see each other in '84. Now it's like, Bird has a chance to get his revenge. So it was like all kind of subplots with this rivalry just throughout the whole 80s decade. And it was just like, whose side are you on? Pretty much.
They both made guys better. They both made their teammates better. They both cared about nothing but winning. They didn't care about individual stats and MVP trophies and none of that stuff. They cared about winning. They both had incredible basketball IQs. They both were unbelievable on the court as far as seeing the game and making passes that you just didn't see. Neither one could jump very high. Those are probably the similarities. They both were 6'9", but they were both the ultimate competitors. Larry did a little bit more shit talking than Magic. Magic would talk only when you really got up into him and started messing with him. Then he would be like, oh, okay, but Larry would talk from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. He didn't care. But I think those similarities are the reason why those two guys were so competitive. It started in college. Indiana State against Michigan State in the most viewed televised NCAA game in history. Watch these two guys go at it, and then that kind of carried over into the NBA.
But I always get this good feeling when I know I'm going to see him, because it makes you feel good. You know, he really does. He's unbelievable.
He's very private, but if he's your friend, man, you got a friend for life. And Larry Bird is a straight shooter. He'll tell you when he don't like you. That's one thing I wish I could have from him, that he has that I don't have. I wish I had that.
I mean, he walked in here, this whole room would change, and maybe that's what I always wanted to be, but I just couldn't.
And, you know, we're similar. We grew up poor. We're both from the Midwest. We love the game. We love to win, you know, on and on and on. And that's when our friendship evolved and grew, and we've been friends ever since.